So I heard Vivian was sick.
She was. Yes, she's doing better now. She got sick. I got a call or a text rather from her teacher end of last week and was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. Sweet Vivian has a fever." I was like, "Oh gosh, okay, I'll be right there." So yeah, it was a long weekend.
So how do you process through that? Because I called you yesterday
Yeah.
and I thought you were about to bite my head off, but you were very kind because you always are. But I noticed it. So talk to me about how you process with sick kids that need and pulling on you all weekend, and then walking with the Lord a little bit.
um,
Or can that even happen?
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if I take time to like process through the details. Honestly, I'm just like in it.
Mhm.
Like, Lord help.
But I know
Yeah.
you're a person that's like super dedicated to like that time block with the Lord. So is that possible during when the kids are all sick and
I
things?
mean, I did.
Okay,
I
okay.
still, I was still up early, even though I was tired because Vivian was waking up in the night, like needing medicine and had fever and was trying to manage her fever. But I still woke up and had my time with the Lord. I don't think I did on Friday. I think I did Saturday and Sunday because one, I had dreams and I wanted to stir up my dreams,
Yeah.
with from the Lord the next morning. And so I was intentional to sit down and like, kind of put my thoughts on paper and dig into the word. Which I did on Sunday as well. And so, but by the end of the day, I was just tired. And so three, Thursday, it was Thursdays or Fridays. So yesterday, by the time you and I talked, I was like, I just need sleep.
I was like, friend, take a day.
All I needed was rest and I was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But I think, there's been different seasons of my life where I was managing on very little sleep and not so healthy seasons of life. And like when the kids were little, when they were, newborns. But I'm used to getting a full night's rest. So I just, was a bit sleep deprived the last few days, but she's good now.
hmm So I feel like when things are going, I think if anybody's sick in the house, and you know this, when Terrence gets sick, it's very dramatic. Um,
Why are men more dramatic?
Especially with the cold.
Yeah.
If it's other things, oh, it's fine. I broke my leg. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's a cold. It's big deal. And as a matter of fact, I don't even think it was a cold. I think it was allergies. Because like I literally gave him like some allergy medicine and some steroid for the asthma, and I think in like a day or two he was like fine.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think you were sick. You just had allergies or a flare up. But how do you manage the? Because I find it difficult, unless I'm escaping somewhere by myself, to like be intentional
Yeah.
about just the things of the Lord in my
Hmm.
daily life. Because I think sometimes when it's really busy and there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
that can be a little difficult.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think sometimes for me, like I'm just in it and I'm praying my way through it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still intentional to spend time with the Lord. Actually, Saturday, I thought I was going to get an out. I didn't tell you this. I was like, oh, okay, I got to go to the grocery store. Maybe I'll just go, like, leave Seth at home with the girls. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go spend a good bit of time, get some mama time, some Jesus time, and, just getting groceries and stuff like that. Like, I was literally nothing for me, but just the quiet.
Yeah.
Um, and my husband goes, you should take Eleanor with you. I'm sure she'd love to go with you. And I was like, oh, I'm sure you're right. And so I'm like, honey, do you want to come with me? And at first she told me no. And I was kind of surprised. And she's like, I'm going to stay at home and help Papa with things. Because she calls Seth Papa and she calls her daddy Papa. Um, and so then the last minute she changed her mind, which we spent good quality time together. I took her around to like some different unique stores
Yeah.
that you and I like to go into, like the
Yeah.
Asian stores, the Indian, the fresh market. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
she was like, wow, I didn't know going to the grocery store would be so fun. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because you're not paying.
yeah, right. So, anyways, I was intentional in spending time with her. But my point is, what I was going to say is sometimes I have to carve out times like those for myself.
Sure.
When things are busy, we live a good bit of distance from church, from
Yeah.
school, from grocery stores. And so I usually have 20, 25 minutes in the car. So sometimes for me, that processing time is in the car,
Mhm.
or I might listen to something intentional in the car, or might spend time praying, or turn some worship music on, just kind of set my mind. So that's part of the way I process, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's I think people are just busier in general,
Yeah,
so I think it's hard.
yeah,
People tell me all the time it's just hard just to even get a second to myself.
hmm
Especially busy moms. We're always driving kids somewhere, picking them up. There's
yeah,
always events. There's always
yeah,
things at school. We're always like doing things, and I'm like, I don't even have kids, and I feel like I'm busy. And we went to the
yeah,
basketball game. Like
yeah,
there's like, all this stuff happening, and I think I was just thinking, I was like, I feel like I need to sit with the Lord for a little bit,
yeah.
but it seems like the schedule is so packed.
I think sometimes we do that to ourselves,
Yeah,
because we overcommit. I think
yeah,
sometimes we don't say no, because we feel obligated. Um, and I mean, honestly, I've had to tell family no
yeah.
recently. I've had to tell friends no to things, and they weren't necessarily bad things. It's just like there needed to be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes we overcommit. And then when it comes to like schools and kids' activities and sports and extracurricular things, I think sometimes those things are wonderful, but it doesn't all have to be going on all at once. But sometimes it does if you're not careful.
Yeah, and like I was telling Terrence, I'm like, we used to have like days where we were like home,
Uh huh.
and like he worked on his projects, I'm working on my projects, but we
Yeah.
were actually home all day,
Yeah.
and we had the time to do. And he's really good about doing home projects and fixing things around the house and
Yeah.
updating things. And he was saying, I just don't feel like we've had time to do any of that.
Yeah.
I
Y'all have been busy
yeah.
lately.
And like, I'll try a new recipe or like clean out the pantry, like something. I'll
Yeah.
do something in the house. I'll read a book.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, he's running around doing all this stuff around the house, fixing all the floodlights and all. He's got all these projects. And I'd be like, I'm on chapter 7. But you're here in the house, and that's content for me.
Yeah.
We haven't had one of those days in a long
Yeah.
time. And so, like, I was telling him, I said, I think we probably need to pick one day out of the week where it's really just Sabbath for us,
Yeah.
and schedule no phone calls, schedule no
Yeah.
nothing for that day. And so we just need to figure out that rhythm.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're not burned out. I think he's getting there. His hours are a little bit longer. He
Yeah.
works about 10 to 12 hours a day. But just trying to figure out the other day, I woke up in the morning, like in the middle of, yeah, it was morning, early morning, and he was praying, but he was sitting on the steps praying.
Oh, really?
And I was like, what? What is why? Why is he on the steps praying? And then I was just kind of paying attention to the other rooms. We're still unpacking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bins in them.
Yeah.
So I think he just wanted to get away from the moving stuff and just be in a vacant hallway and on the steps praying,
And not be
maybe.
overwhelmed with all the boxes.
Boxes, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I just thought it was strange. I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to like just act like I didn't see this. But I think the overwhelmingness of life can happen
Yeah.
when you don't have a rhythm. But it's the priority of prioritizing what is needed now.
Mm-hmm.
And do I need to go to everything?
Yeah.
And do I need to be present for everything?
Yeah.
And me and you talked about this. I don't have FOMO, at all.
Yeah.
Like I have no fear of missing out, at all. I just have I don't know, FOBA, fear of being asked. I don't know. Like I don't know
Foba.
um,
You're like, don't ask me.
yeah, I would just like the highlights of what happened, and I'm okay. I'm like, we had so much fun. Oh my god, that's so great.
But you're more introvert though. For those of us, I think that are probably a little more extroverted, they might feel like a bit more obligated to be involved, or might
Yeah.
have a little more FOMO because they feed on that, like being around other extroverts and
Yeah, sure.
activities.
I think there's certain things that I think are important, like to attend.
Yeah,
And some people are like this. I'm like, well, this is important. Like they're,
sure.
important birthdays. Like I
Yeah,
feel like I do have the, and I want to go to
yeah,
those.
yeah,
But I have no shortage of activities on my calendar. You know what I mean?
yeah,
No shortage. And I don't know why we're so busy. I was like, I feel like we're busy. I feel like I'm busy doing a lot of things, but doing a lot of nothing.
yeah. I think, when we talk about honestly like what's going on just spiritually in
Yeah.
this season, I think it's important too to take inventory
Mm-hmm.
just of the things that we are spending our time
Yeah.
on and being intentional about it, because there is a lot of opportunity to be distracted. Like if
Mm-hmm.
the Lord has put something in your heart, he's called you to do something, being intentional about making that happen and not being distracted with different activities or different obligations.
Yeah, I told one of my friends the other day. I was like, there will always be a graduation. There'll always be a birthday party. There's
Yeah.
always going to be baby showers.
Yeah.
There's always going to be events all the time.
Yeah.
So if you decide, hey, I'm gonna take this Saturday. I think Saturdays are big. Saturdays and Sundays
Yeah.
are big. So if you decide you're gonna take a Saturday to go hiking, just know something else is going to pop up.
Mhm.
But you've already made a commitment to go hiking. Just do it.
Yeah, well, be okay with missing stuff
Yeah,
and doing what's important for
yeah.
you and your family.
Because I know for a fact like the summers are super busy for us.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing, but they're always busy. October is busy for us.
Yeah.
Don't know what we're doing, but October's always busy.
Mhm.
And then when you get into Thanksgiving, into Christmas,
Yeah.
it's all the programs, all the school stuff.
Family stuff.
Yeah, it's all the family things. So there's always events. So there's always something. And like I always tell people, like there's going to be another baby shower, and there's going to be another wedding. There's going to be, and I think I told you this one year we got invited to like 15 weddings or something. Have I told you that?
Yes.
We got invited
Crazy.
to more weddings. We just attended 13 of them, but
Mhm.
it was just, and I remember thinking, I don't want to take my PTO for all
Mhm.
these weddings,
Mhm.
you know. And so there has to come a point where you're like, yeah, I think we need to get away. Like we
Mhm.
need to get away for a little bit, and something. Oh, that's the weekend of this. There's always something.
Yeah, there's always something.
Yeah. So I think just learning that and a little bit more balanced. But you know, I have to be careful because I'll also be the person that doesn't go to anything
Mhm.
and still be like, life's great.
Foba.
Foba.
That's
There's got to be something else. There's got to be some other acronym
some
for
other
that.
saying.
A fear of being included. I don't know. Phobia. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Now it's like sometimes morphed into some type of phobia.
So fear of being included. But I do recall, like, you know, I saw somebody get engaged and I was like, oh Lord, please. I don't want to be invited to this wedding at all. I hope I don't. But then I have a wedding coming up in March I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
Because you know, you're championing the people that you love and
Sure.
want to be around. But I do get a lot of invitations. So we're just always like,
You're just so lovable, Julie, okay?
that is not the word I get when I see me, but that is not the word I get when I see me, but yeah. So yeah, I think I'm learning. I'm learning slowly
Yeah.
what matters in seasons. And there are seasons where all those things are priority. Like,
Sure.
you know, like your family's a priority and what's
Yeah.
happening.
Well, you and I talked too about like when there are things that you are supposed to be stewarding in the season, the
Mhm.
Lord can increase your capacity to do that.
Yeah.
But I think if He's not increasing your capacity for certain things, then you might
Yeah.
need to take inventory of what you're committing to, you know.
Yeah. I think like my pastor asked me Saturday, he goes, how's your energy levels right now? And I was like, yeah, apparently they're pretty high. Like I don't feel burnout yet by any
Sure.
means. But I also realized that, like, you know, Terrence is really being extended at work.
Mm-hmm.
So I try my best not to give him so much additional stuff
Yeah.
because I know, and this is that season, it'll end around March time and then
Yeah.
it'll die down for him.
Yeah.
But I knew and we were prepared for that. And so I try not to give him more on top
Yeah.
of that. So I try to be cognizant of that as much as I can.
Yeah.
As far as where I'm getting the energy, I have no idea. I think it's probably the weighted blanket that has transformed my sleep life to unlike anything.
What kind of blanket is it?
It's
I need to go look at this
it's
blanket
a
up.
20-pound weighted blanket. It's small. It's like for one person. Terrence thinks it's super heavy.
Yeah.
He's like, why are you sleeping on this? Like, you're gonna like. I don't think it's safe for you to be under such a heavy blanket. And I was just like, I just don't think this is gonna work. Like a weighted blanket is not gonna work. And so that first night, and I thought I was gonna get really hot because I'm really hot natured. Because it's kind of warm under there. Let me tell you something. I put the weighted blanket on and woke up like I came out of a coma.
I know. I remember when you got it, and I asked you the next day. I was like, "How'd you sleep?" And you're like, "Oh my gosh, I slept amazing."
Well, I woke up and I was like,
"You've been rested, though."
no, I have.
I know.
I
made a huge difference.
And I'm like, wait, is this how people really sleep? And Terrence's like, yes. Yes. If you don't wake me up in the middle of the night because I'm snoring, that is how I sleep. I said, no, but are people actually sleeping like no dreams, nothing? Just like waking up like they just woke up from the dead? Like, what happened? I'm so confused. What day is it? What time is it? Yeah, the weighted blanket has been a win for me.
I should get one for my husband. I don't know if it'll help, but
Yeah. Well, I didn't
because
know I
sometimes he
needed
said
one.
sometimes he tells me that he hasn't slept good, and I'm like, that's because you've been snoring.
Well,
You're not sleeping
Terrence does
well.
that too, and that's because he's been snoring too. But there's something to it, like sensory wise,
Yeah.
apparently. And so, I was like, I don't have any sensory issues. Terrence is like, all you have is sensory issues.
That's why the weighted blanket's working so
Yeah.
well.
He's like, all you have is sensory
Mm.
issues. He's like, noises, sounds, lights, smells, feels. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I do. So sleep makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Even Elijah needed it, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he needed a nap, snack.
We love some
Yeah.
snacks.
Then he wasn't suicidal anymore. It's a big thing.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, get your rest. Get your
Yeah.
rest, people.
Yeah. So I think resting is important. I think people need to start kind of figuring out what a Sabbath looks like for them.
Mm.
And it may not be the same day every week for everybody because your
Yeah.
schedule may not allow it. But I think planning, hey, this week, this is going to be your Sabbath day
Yeah.
is a good idea.